So the translation: I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, Krishna, who is non-different from his features as a devotee, devotional manifestation, devotional incarnation, pure devotee, and devotional energy. We're going to speak on Srivasa Thakura. So there are some verses from Guru Ganadesh Dipika. I won't repeat the Sanskrit, just the English, which basically can introduce our subject. It says, I shall now summarily explain the meaning of these words in this Panca Tattva. The Bhakta Rupa form of a devotee, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who formerly appeared as Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. The Bhakta Swarup, devotional incarnation, is Lord Nityananda, who formerly appeared in Vrajabhumi as Lord Balaram. The Bhakta Avatar, devotional manifestation, is Lord Advaita Acharya, who is not different from Sadashiva. The Bhaktyaka, pure devotee, is Srinivas, and other great devotees as well. The Bhakti Shakti, devotional energy, is Gadadhar Pandit, the foremost of Brahmanas. So those are the personalities we're going to be speaking about over the next few days. There's a lot more detail given, especially from Bhakti Ratnakar, but I'll just go on to more information about Srivasa Pandit. So he'd previously been Narad Muni, and he had 3 brothers, and his younger brother was Sriman Rama Pandit, and he'd previously been Narad Muni's close friend Parvata Muni, who we know of, I think, from Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srivasa Pandit actually also was senior to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he also was yearning for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not only Advaita Acharya, he was of course loudly calling out for Lord Krishna to come to save the people of the world of Navadvip at that time, who were not really following the path of devotional service so nicely. So he and his 4 brothers, so there was Srivasa, those 4 brothers, actually, he had 2 other brothers, as well as Sri Ram. He had Sripati and Srinidhi. And they were continuously singing the names of Krishna before Lord Chaitanya appeared. And actually this brought them into some disrepute with the local people, who became concerned and really couldn't understand, what is this devotional, what is this practice that they're doing, just loudly chanting Hare Krishna. And they were complaining about, we're working hard all day and then we can't sleep at night because of this chanting that's going on. So they'd previously lived in a district called Srihatta, and later they came actually to the bank of the Ganges, and they regularly attended the gatherings of devotees at Sri Advaita Acharya's house to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and also to engage in the congregational chanting of the holy names. So gradually they became very close friends of Jagannath Mishra, with whom they would chant and listen to the Bhagavatam. But Srivasa Pandit was the leader of the 4 brothers. And because he was such a devotee, he could understand also that Sri Krishna was going to appear in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Now he had a wife who was called Sri Malini Devi, And she became a very close friend of Sri Sachi Devi and was always helping her out in whatever way required. So the devotees were seeing the wretched state of all the living entities, fallen living entities in the age of Kali Yuga, and they prayed very fervently for the Lord to appear. And Krishna, of course, always hears the call of his devotees, his pure devotees especially. So, as we know, on the full moon day, the Purnima, which we're going to celebrate next week, in the year 1486 of the Christian era, the Lord incarnated himself. And everything became very auspicious. So Srivasa Pandit, he also came to that place. And because Malini Devi, Srivasa Pandit's wife, was good friends with Sachi Devi, Srivasa and Jagannath Mishra made it clear to her that she was especially needed at this time, when Sachi Devi was becoming the mother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they actually became like mother and father to Lord Chaitanya, the child Nimai. And they gave Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra a lot of advice of how to raise their new son. And but one day, as young Nimai Pandit was growing up, he seemed to becoming arrogant, because he was the greatest scholar. Even as a child, he's one of the greatest scholars, and obviously he became the greatest scholar of Navadvip. So Srivasa Pandit decided to give him good counsel, and he said this: "Why do people study? So that they might understand what is devotion to Sri Krishna. If by scholarship one doesn't gain devotion to Krishna, then how will that learning help him? It becomes simply a tedious endeavor, which in the end is nothing but a waste of time. If you have actually learned something, then begin your worship of Sri Krishna now. Make haste. This is the purpose of your life." Nimai laughed, and he replied, "By your mercy, certainly that will come to be. If you are all kind enough for me, then definitely I'll attain devotion to Sri Krishna's lotus feet." So shortly after that, Mahaprabhu went to Gaya, where he performed the pastimes of accepting initiation from Sri Ishvara Puri. So that's when he started to gradually take up his real work, which wasn't teaching Sanskrit grammar, but distributing loving devotion to Lord Krishna. So on one day, Lord Gauranga entered Srivasa's house, asking, "Srivasa, whom do you worship? Whom do you meditate upon? Now, with your own two eyes, see that person standing before you." So then he entered the deity room with Srivasa's home temple and sat down on the Singhasana of Lord Vishnu. And he revealed his four-armed form, holding his conch, disc, club and lotus flower. So seeing this form, Srivasa was totally stupefied. So then the Lord explained how, because of their Sankirtan and the loud roaring of Sri Advaita Acharya, he left the spiritual world and descended to the material world, accompanied by all his associates. And so he said, "Now without fear you can chant my glories." So then Srivasa Pandit fell on the ground offering his obeisances. And then he began to recite hymns in praise of the Lord. He said, and this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Lila, "My obeisances at the lotus feet of the support of the entire universe, Vishwambar, whose bodily color is like that of a newly arrived rain cloud, and worn garments and wore garments which are the color of a thunderbolt. My obeisances at the lotus feet of the son of Sachi, who is bedecked with ornaments of peacock feathers and a garland of reed beads, Gunjamala. My obeisances at the lotus feet of the pupil of Gangadas, the beauty of whose lotus face conquers that of 10 million moons. My obeisances at your lotus feet, you who carry a buffalo horn, stick and flute. The 4 Vedas have proclaimed you to be the son of Nanda. Unto you, my dear Lord, my obeisances I offer again and again. So he carries on, but Lord Chaitanya was very merciful to all the family members of Srivasa Pandit. And for instance, there was one little girl who was only 4 years old called Narayani. And Lord Chaitanya, on one occasion, he called her, he says, Narayani, call upon Sri Krishna with tears in your eyes. And immediately, the little girl began to cry out, Hari Krishna, while shedding tears incessantly. In fact, the flood of tears coursed down her body to such an extent that the ground around her feet became soaked. And then Srivasa's wife, seeing this, and even all the household servants began to shed tears of love also. And there was also even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very merciful to the servants of Srivasa Pandit's house. So there was one servant called Duki, and every day she used to bring water from the Ganges for Mahaprabhu's bath. So one day he asked, Lord Chaitanya asked Srivasa, who brings this water? And Srivasa replied, Duki brings it. He said, from today her name is Suki. Thus the Lord indicated that those who serve the Lord and the Lord's devotees are not Duki, which means sad, but Suki, happy. So we should all be happy. So of course, the congregational chanting, this movement started by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually started in Srivasa Pandit's house, which is called Srivasa Angam, which is very close to Mayapur, just about, was it half a mile, something like that? And so there they started chanting every night. And just to show actually the great devotion of Srivasa Pandit, they were chanting throughout the night. And Lord Chaitanya was there dancing and chanting. And then one of Srivasa Pandit's sons passed away. He had some kind of disease and he passed away. So all the women of the family began to wail, as happens, lamenting that about the boy's death. So Srivasa Pandit, he understood obviously there was something wrong because he heard this wailing. And he came in and found that his son had passed away. So he was a very grave devotee, but he completely understood the science of the absolute truth. So he was able to console the ladies. And he said, you are all aware of Krishna's glories, so please restrain yourselves and don't cry. Whoever during his last moment hears the Lord's holy name, even though he might be the greatest sinner, attains Krishna's abode. And that incomparably wonderful Lord, he whose glories are sung by all his servants, up to and including Lord Brahma, is now personally dancing in the courtyard of your house. This moment is so auspicious that it is sure this boy has successfully completed his journey from this world. Is there anything to be lamented at in this? His good fortune is completely assured. I can understand that whatever part I have played in this is also crowned with success. So that's a great example that if a devotee passes from this world hearing the Lord's holy name, then there can be no doubt that they're destined for a wonderful place. So, but what to speak of this boy who's actually present when the Lord himself was actually chanting and dancing in their courtyard. So then he said, if you if you can't control your emotions at this time because of your affection for this boy, then at least don't cry now. You can cry later. The Supreme Lord of Gokula himself, Sri Gaura Sundar, is performing Sankirtan. And so he was worried that if due to their crying the happiness of the Lord is being disturbed, then he said, actually then I will myself jump into the Ganga at this very minute and give up my own life, he said. So he said, not a blade of grass moves unless by Krishna's will. To see in this happiness or distress or knowledge or ignorance is simply imagination or mental speculation or mental concoction. Know that whatever Krishna wills is good, and thus giving up your own selfish desires become free from confusion and unnecessary botheration. Krishna is giving and Krishna is taking away, and it is Krishna alone who is maintaining everyone. Someone he protects and someone he destroys, all according to his will. If someone contemplates something contrary to Krishna's will, then as a result of his desire, he only gets torment. Giving up all lamentation, simply hear Krishna's name, and thus pass through all difficulties, feeling great happiness, then your desires will actually be fulfilled. So this is also a very wonderful instruction, that even though there may seem to be cause for lamentation, actually we shouldn't lament. Because we should always think that actually everything happens by Krishna's will. So Srivasa Thakura is teaching us this, that even if what seems to be the greatest tragedy occurs, actually we should, what does he say? Give up all lamentation, simply hear Krishna's name, and thus pass through all difficulties, feeling great happiness. So, and then he says, then your desires will actually be fulfilled. So he was a great personality. Srivasa Thakura. So then he went out again to rejoin the ecstatic chanting and dancing that was going on in the courtyard. And even the women as well left the dead body and came to hear the kirtan of Mahaprabhu. But at the end of the kirtan, when everyone was leaving, Mahaprabhu said, he said, today my mind is feeling some tribulation. I think some sad event has occurred in Srivasa's house. But the Pandit replied, what possible unhappiness could there be in that person's house where your divinely blissful countenance is seen? Srivas, why wasn't I feeling bliss in kirtan today? What inauspicious thing transpired in your house? And Srivasa replied, my Lord, you are yourself all auspiciousness. Wherever you are, no sorrow can be found anywhere. But the other devotees then informed the Lord that Srivasa's son had passed away. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So, hearing this news, Lord Chaitanya said, alas, what a tragic event. Why didn't you tell me of this unfortunate news before? So Srivasa Thakura explained that actually he couldn't tolerate disturbing the Lord while he was enjoying his Sankirtan. He said, if one of my sons dies, what sorrow is there in that for me? If we all die while seeing you, that would actually be a matter of great happiness. On the other hand, if you would have to stop dancing, then perhaps I would have died. My Lord, this was the danger that I feared, and thus I didn't tell you at the time. So this profound devotion, because of course Srivasa Thakura is a pure devotee. He's actually the marginal energy of the Lord, and a pure devotee. So the Lord actually cried, which is inconceivable, his pastime, and the devotees began to worry. Then the Lord went to the dead body of the child, and in touching it, he called, "Boy, why are you going away and leaving Srivas Pandit?" So then, at the touch of Lord Chaitanya, the child came back. Life came back to the dead child, and the Lord said to him, "O Prabhu, whatever you ordain is absolute." No, sorry, the child said, "O Prabhu, whatever you ordain is absolute. No one can do anything but what is sanctioned by you. As many days as I was destined to remain here, that many days I have stayed. Now that my time has elapsed, I have proceeded to leave." And then he explained how, he's taken so many births. "I have taken birth and died repeatedly. But this time, at the time of my death, I passed away quite happily, having taken darshan of your beautiful face." So then the child became silent. And so, having heard the words of the child, all the devotees actually were then floating in an ocean of bliss. And even the family members of Lord Chaitanya cried in ecstatic love. So then, that explains what a great devotee Srivasa Thakura was. So, moving on to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that was a summary of some of the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. But there are many other nice pastimes in which... Oh, what's happened there? Something not working for some reason. Okay, so in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 7:4, it's explained, and with a purport by Srila Prabhupada. The text goes, "Panca Tattva avatirna Chaitanyara sange, Panca Tattva laya karena sankirtan range." Talking about the five tattvas. These five tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus the Lord executes his Sankirtan movement with great pleasure. And in the purport, he quotes the verse, "Krishna varnam tvisha krishnam sango pangastra parshadam yagyai sankirtana praya yajanti hi sumedasaha." In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates. And of course his associates are the Panca Tattva, including Srivasa Thakura. They will worship him by performance of the Sankirtan Yagya. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is accompanied by his plenary expansion, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, his incarnation, Sri Advaita Prabhu, his internal potency, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and his marginal potency, Srivasa Thakura. And he says there are, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, there are innumerable pure devotees of the Lord, headed by Srivasa Thakura, who are known as unalloyed devotees. So he is the leader of all the devotees. While chanting the Panca Tattva Maha Mantra, one must chant the names of Sri Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas with their many devotees. This is the process. So I'm just going to go on to some more pastimes involving Srivasa Thakura. Okay, so in the 10th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, explains that the two brothers, Srivasa Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit, started two branches that are well known in the world. In the Gaura Krishna Dipika, Srivasa Pandit, Srivasa Thakura, is described as an incarnation of Narad Muni, and Sri Ram Pandit, his younger brother, is said to be an incarnation of Parvata Muni, a great friend of Narada's. Srivasa Pandit's wife, Malini, is celebrated as an incarnation of the nurse Ambika, who fed Lord Krishna with her breast milk, and as already noted, his niece, Narayani, the mother of Thakur Vrindavan Das Thakur, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, was the sister of Ambika in Krishna Lila. We also understand from the description of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat that after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of the sannyas order, Srivasa Pandit left Navadvip, possibly because of feelings of separation, and domiciled at Kumahata. Okay, so it's taking too long to find what I wanted to find, so I'm going to leave it there. And just say that we can, just like Advaita Acharya and Nityananda, they appear before Lord Chaitanya in order to prepare the way for Lord Chaitanya to come to this world. So also Srivasa Thakura is preparing the way for us. So of course we take shelter every day, many times a day, of Srivasa Thakura, because he is an important personality for us. So today we can meditate on his great devotion, including that occasion when he was just concerned with the happiness of the Lord in his kirtan, and not with his own tragedy. So if somehow or other we can gain a little measure of such devotion, then we would be most fortunate. So if anybody would like to add anything on the subject of Srivasa Thakura.